Welcome to Brother Owl's Garden. I'm Brian, and I honor your presence here today. Today I want to talk about something that we've all heard, but maybe not all of us have yet really incorporated into our regular everyday behavior and the way that we live our lives. And it's called simply trust your gut. Trust your gut. You cannot go wrong. In the case of trusting my gut, I seem to have more and more to trust these days. But when I speak of trust your gut, what I mean is each of us has an inner knowing. It is the soul. You may call it the higher self, which is not another entity or another you. It's just a level of you. Your highest level of being, which is pure soul, knows what your intellect and your mind can spend forever deliberating and analyzing and debating. When you get, as my friend Bob says, when you get a hit in your intuition, you know it. Just go with it without question and without hesitancy. In other words, when you intuit something in your gut, when something in your gut, what I mean is the core of your being, where the centermost point of your soul seems to abide within your body. When you get that recognition of knowing, or if you get some kind of advanced warning or information, whatever you do, do not migrate that into your intellect and start examining it. It's like the mystic knows what the scientist can never reveal. And I know that mysticism and science, that I should say that mysticism is standing on its own. Science is getting closer to what the mystics throughout all time have always known. But because of its analytical, intellectual nature, it has so many hurdles and blind spots and obstacles. Don't migrate your inner intuitive knowing. Trust your gut. Don't migrate that into the abyss of the intellect. You know, the intellect has its uses. It's a fantastic tool, but this is not where you apply the intellect. Trust your gut and act on it exactly as you received the message from it, without questioning it, without deliberating, without debating it, without analyzing it. You just do it. I'm going to give you a couple of instances in my life where I messed that up, and I paid dearly for it. And I can remember the one time that I said, I now have learned this lesson, and I will never, ever do it again. And there were no real big ones after that, but a few small ones. But the first one that comes to my mind as definitely the most powerful one, the most absolutely, as if somebody had dropped a bowling ball into my lap. That's how obvious this hit was. The Thursday before Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. So just a few days before. The Thursday before that Tuesday that was 9/11. At the time I was living in Hawaii. I was working for a company that I hated. And I was so struck by this hit that I got in the evening that I went back. So maybe it was Wednesday night that I got the hit. I got this hit. Something horrendously awful is about to happen, and you must get home to your parents right now. And then there was sort of a little PS. And I'm not making this up. This is all 100% absolutely what happened. P.S. Pack everything you own into boxes tape them up, address them to your parents' home, and put them in a neat pile on your bed before you leave. But leave absolutely as fast as you can. Tomorrow would be good. This kind of thing. And I said, wow, oh my gosh, I must get back home right now. But this kind of feels like I'm gonna not get to come back to Hawaii, and I am not moving. I want to live here, and I'm not gonna fall for this. I'm not gonna pack my stuff and tape it up in boxes and address it to my parents, because that reveals finality, that I don't live here anymore, and I'm gonna need that stuff shipped, because I'm not coming back, but I don't have time to ship it. I'll just pack it, put it in a pile, so that it's easy to bring to the post office, and I'll send PayPal or a check or something. Well, I migrated it to my intellect, and I started to tear it apart, analyze it, and I thought, gee, if I leave on the weekend, suddenly buying a ticket with, you pay more a lot of times when you buy a ticket for as soon as possible rather than far into the future. And I thought, I'm going to have to pay a lot more money to get on a plane tomorrow than I would if I just bumped it to next week, Monday, or even Tuesday. And as a matter of fact, on the weekend, the flight's going to be packed. But on a Monday or a Tuesday, I may even be able to lay down on that 10 to 11 hour flight. So I started to process it up here. And so I was trying to have it both ways. I was trying to respond to the intuition that I got, the message that I got, but in a way that worked out really nice for me. And so I messed it up. And what did I end up doing? Since I refused of my will to leave Hawaii, I didn't pack anything. I locked my door, and I got on a plane on Monday, so that I would pay less and have a better chance of getting a couple of seats that I could lie down, because it's a very long flight. And, logically, that made a lot of sense. If I had planned that trip and it wasn't the response to a gut message, an order, you go now, something horrible is happening, and I didn't know what it was. But instead, I migrated it to the intellect and arranged it that way in what seemed logical and reasonable to me. And I also went to my boss, who I was working for at the time, and I told him, I said, okay, if you need to fire me, I understand that I'm not going to complain, but I want to let you know that I got a very, very powerful warning in the spirit that something horrendously bad, like extremely bad, is going to happen imminently, and I must get home now. And I want you to know this, because it's gonna happen. And when it does, you won't think that I'm some whack job. You won't think that I'm hallucinating. You'll know that what I said was an extremely powerful premonition. It wasn't some hallucination of any kind. And I said, I understand if when I return my job is no longer here. I understand that. But I need to do what I need to do, and so I'm leaving. And I said I should be leaving tomorrow, but I'm going to leave Monday because it might work out better for me. Well, I jump on a plane on Monday, and due to the difference in the time zone between Hawaii and the east coast of the United States where I was flying to, Monday turned into an arrival of Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, September 11th, a little before 9 a.m., my plane began its descent. And all of a sudden, it went whoosh, and it picked up and went at a very high angle up into the air, and then turned to the left and did a complete U-turn. And I looked around at the people. I did get to lay down, by the way. Didn't matter now, did it? And I looked around at the people next to me, and I said out loud, I said, this is not normal, something's wrong. And everyone was kind of a little disturbed, like, what's going on here? And then began the whole process of the pilot openly telling us, you know, there's an attack. And, you know, everybody got kind of, you know, we were terrified. And because we knew that it was attacks with planes. I won't go into all that, but it was traumatizing. And as a result of not following completely the instructions I had received from Spirit, or from my higher connected self to Spirit, for not following that to the letter, I ended up having to hitchhike because there was no form of transportation whatsoever available. Anyone that lived through 9/11 knows what I mean. There was nothing, no way to move yourself. Everything was booked solid for many days and or shut down. So I had to hitchhike for a few days illegally on freight trucks with, in some cases, people I didn't want to be with, in order to get to my parents' house. And I ended up having to pay, I think it was 1.5 years, almost 2 years of storage for the belongings that I still had left behind at my place in Hawaii, which cost me thousands of dollars. You know, I can't remember the exact amount. It cost me almost $2,000, I remember, for the storage. And then when I finally returned back to Hawaii after a long time, I think it was more than a year. No, well, obviously it was more than a year because the storage was more than 1.5 years. So it was almost 2 years. I finally went back to collect my things in the storage and take them out. It was all junk. It was just junk. That was another motivation for the simplify in my life. So look at the price I paid for not heeding what I knew, because no, I had to step back and analyze it and, you know, let science have a look at it. No. The mystics know what the scientists are scrambling to understand. Another example is when I was living in Thailand, where I'm at now. This was probably 6 years ago or so. I had hit a very, very difficult time financially. I had completely bottomed out. In fact, I have a picture of the last coin that I had to my name, which was 10 baht, which would be like about 29 cents in US money. And I actually took a picture of that because that was the last coin that I had. And I said, from here, loaves and fishes. Watch it multiply. And it did. But I had hit that point. So at that point, in order to eat, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't eat. I had to find a way to get enough cash to buy food each day. So I found a friend who made beautiful greeting cards. Just happened to have one right here as an example. He made dozens and dozens of different handmade mulberry paper cards, and I would buy them from him, mark them up a little bit, lay them out on a blanket at the open air markets, and whatever I sold, I could eat. And I was doing this at this one particular place in Thailand that it was working pretty well. I was having a fairly reliable sales there, and so here comes Mama Chicken to say hello. You know what? I'm gonna turn the camera so you can see them. I hope that you can see them now. There's Mama Chicken with her little babies. They are 3 days. Today is day 3. 3 days old. She's probably looking for a little snack from me, but I don't have it right now. Anyway, so I was selling these greeting cards in order to eat. Now, technically, not legal, because I didn't have a license to do that, but I had to eat and I had to do it. So I was doing that, and I was doing it for a couple of months, and I made some friendly acquaintances with some of the other vendors that we would see each other there each day. And of course I was the only well, that's not true. I was the only Westerner, and most of the rest were Burmese and some Thai. Well, one day, but I would see them and I would talk to them, but I never connected with them as far as phone numbers or emails or anything like that. They would just see you. Hey, how are you doing? How was your sales yesterday? Hey, hope you have a good day today. Good luck, you know? And so it was just a when I see you, I say hi kind of thing. But I didn't know how to reach them outside of that, and I wish that I did. Because one afternoon, I put all the cards in my backpack. I would ride my bike out to the market with my backpack and a sheet. And I was very mobile. And so one day I put the backpack on, and as soon as I put it on, I got this incredible message of, do not go today. There's going to be a raid. It was that specific. And I said, yes. Done. And I took off my backpack and I said, I'm not going to be arrested by immigration police or anything like that for just trying to make enough money to eat. But I'm not going to be there today because I just got warned in spirit that there's going to be a raid. And I said, I've got to go tell them, but I don't know how to reach them. And I would only go like 15 minutes before the market kind of congealed and opened. So I decided, of course I decided I'm not going to go. And I already could project into the next day. And I said, tomorrow, like I could see it. I said, tomorrow I'm going to return to the market. It feels safe that tomorrow I can return. And someone is going to come up to me who knows me and is going to tell me, you're not going to believe how lucky you are that you stayed away yesterday. There was a raid. I already know that it's going to happen, but I wonder who it's going to be because I don't know who it is, but I know that they're going to come and tell me almost in shock that I'm still there. How did you dodge the raid? You know, you're so lucky you weren't here. So I came back the next day and there were not even 10% of the normal vendors. Let's say there were 30 vendors normally, there was maybe 4 that were brave enough or daring enough to come back the next day. And I said, yep, I'm not going to even pretend to be shocked because I knew this was coming already. And it had happened. There was a raid. They arrested 19 people. Most of them Burmese. And I listened. And so I wasn't in jail. They not only seized all of the merchandise of the vendors, and by the way, if you're a vendor, you're poor. You're living hand to mouth. In most cases. If you're a Burmese street vendor in Thailand, you're poor and you're living hand to mouth. And I was on the same level at that point as well. So they not only seized and kept all of the merchandise that the vendors were trying to sell, much of it was handmade stuff that they had created. They also locked them in jail and demanded a very hefty fine be paid before they could be released. So it was awful for those people that got arrested. But I didn't, because I listened. And lo and behold, this old British gentleman that always walked by with a backpack and a pair of shorts, he would always cut through the market and say hello to me because we recognized each other as one of the very few who could actually speak English, because that's quite rare here. And so he stopped by and said, Brian, you're here, you're back. Do you know what happened? And I said, so you're the one. And I explained to him. He was astonished. But see, I listened in that case, and that was a good one. Now, I did mess up again recently, and it was heartbreaking, but I also had the sense, as a side note, to go gentle on myself and forgive myself and be understanding that this happened. I wasn't going to beat myself up over this, but I felt lousy about it. But I also wasn't going to feel lousy about feeling lousy. I wasn't going to beat myself up for feeling lousy. I wasn't going to create that cycle. I had a wonderful, wonderful doggy friend here. His name was Mock. And Mock was like a brother to me. He was wonderful. There was a very, very hard, lonely, difficult time in my life here in Thailand at one point a few years ago. And I was profoundly alone and not able to do anything really about it at the time. And Mock, who did not live on the property I lived on, but lived not terribly far away, maybe a kilometer away, Mock would come and hike up that mountain to where I lived. I lived on top of a small mountain in a cabin. And he would come and visit me every single day as soon as he found out where I lived. As soon as he knew that I was there, he would come and visit me. And of course, sometimes I fed him, but sometimes I didn't have anything to give him, and he came anyway. And he not only came, he didn't sniff around and say, you got anything for me? All right, well, I'll be on my way. No. He would spend the night sleeping on the porch. I invited him in, but he didn't feel comfortable coming in. He was the kind of dog wanted to sleep right outside your door. He was not just your buddy. He was looking out for you. He was protecting you. That's why he wanted to keep the door when he slept. He didn't want to come inside and be more comfortable. He wanted to be where he could protect you. So I just started calling him Brother Mock from that time on. And fast forward some years later, and actually this is about a month ago, I'm here where I live now, which is a different place. I'm still in Thailand, but I'm only about 20 minutes maximum, maybe 15 or 20 minutes drive from where Mock lived. And one morning I woke up, started going about my day, and I got a hit. I got a message. Go visit Mock today. And this will be the last time that you see him. So make it count. And that hit that I got was August 31st, 2021, this year, just a few weeks back. August 31st in the morning, I got that intuition, trust your gut. I got the message, go and visit Mock today, and this is the last time you're going to see him. But I had been feeling very low. I had been having a hard time, and I just didn't feel up to it. And so I migrated it up to the intellect and said, I need to make a note that the next day that I'm feeling better than I do today, and I have enough time, and I'll make sure that I don't have to feel rushed, and it's nice, relaxed, I can go visit Mock, then I'm going to do that. That's on my list of to-do things. So he died the evening of the next day. He died the evening of September 1st. I didn't get to say goodbye to him in person. And, that kind of thing hurts. And when it's a loved one, a person who you love that you're close to, and you get that hit, you go. You get off your butt and you go, no matter how you look, no matter how you feel, no matter what else you were going to do. You go. And of course, I'm not saying to run to them and say, I just got a hit that you're going to die. And I'm not saying that. But when you get that ping, whatever you want to call it, a hit, a ping, a download, whatever you want to call it, an unction, when your gut says, do this, you just do it. It is for your own good. It's not obeying, it's heeding. Heed that message. It's for you. Your higher self, in other words, the highest level of yourself, of your being. The subtle soul knows the things that the meddling intellect will never understand. Always, always, always trust your gut. One other small point. A lot of times you hear something regarding trust your gut. You hear the phrase, oh, women's intuition. That's women's intuition. I have a little news flash for you. Women have no ownership of intuition. It's intuition. But the problem is that, especially in Western society, I suppose it's most of the world, anything that's intuitive and sensitive and of the spirit and the soul tends to be dismissed or demeaned or diminished within the context of the role of a man. if you are a man, those things are considered not really your realm. That's women's stuff. Well, women's intuition is not women's. It's just that it's not suppressed in women, and therefore they're more open to it and more attuned to it and more polished in listening to it and receiving it than most men are, because the opposite case is true for men, generally speaking, in society. It is discouraged in men, and I think that that is a shame. You know, men and women both have male and female characteristics. We're not talking about gender when we talk about sacred feminine and sacred masculine. We're not talking about genders. We're talking about qualities, essences, and the balance of the two complementary essences, not polarized opposing essences or competing. Absolutely not. That's completely wrong. So men have what we call a feminine nature, a sacred feminine aspect to themselves, just as much as women have a masculine or sacred masculine aspect to themselves as well, because all people have both essences within them. And we need to find the balance between those two in order to achieve harmony. So intuition belongs to us. Don't suppress it. Cultivate it. Hone it. Polish it. And above all things, listen to it and follow whatever it says to do, because it knows things that we can never figure out on our own with our intellect. I hope today has been great for you. I hope that this is a refreshing reminder to listen to your inner knowing, your intuition. Trust your gut. Thank you for stopping by Brother Owl's Garden today. And as always, abide in thankfulness for your highest good in the most benevolent outcome.